Hello all, hope you're doing well today. We are continuing our conversation in chapter 9. This is part 2, and we're talking about facility security issues, primarily terrorism, and what to do in that situation. Here we go. So our objectives today are really to identify and explain facility security issues such as facility emergencies, terrorism, bomb threats, and fire threats, and distinguish between what is organized and spontaneous terrorism, as well as be able to explain why sports facilities are targets for this, and explain the differences between threat, vulnerability, and criticality assessments, and then identify different evacuation methods so that they can be implemented. Terrorist attacks are a real and present threat to sporting events. We must take the necessary precautions to safeguard our attendees, participants, and staff. Consider past events like the 2015 Stade de France attack in Paris, the 1996 bombing at Olympic Park in Atlanta, and the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013. These events show that the threat is very real and can happen at any major gathering. So, in order to prepare for that, we must implement strict security screenings, limit access points, and increase vigilance throughout the event. Collaboration with local law enforcement and intelligence agencies is key. Evacuation plans and emergency response teams must be ready to act swiftly, ensuring the safety of everyone on site. Organized terrorist activities typically have specific objectives when choosing targets, such as gaining media attention, causing economic disruption, and inflicting significant casualties. Sports facilities, due to their large gatherings and high-profile nature, are prime targets for these types of attacks. The FBI and Homeland Security recognize sports facilities as potential targets for terrorism due to their visibility, large crowds, and symbolic significance. Terrorists may see these venues as high-value targets to further their agenda. So sport events often involve large numbers of people, which increases the potential for massive casualties in the event of an attack. Furthermore, the media coverage surrounding sporting events amplifies the impact of an attack, providing terrorists with significant exposure. Spontaneous terrorism is typically unplanned, impulsive, and lacks a political agenda or organized structure. It often arises from sudden emotional responses such as frustration or anger rather than strategic objectives. In moments of frustration, fans may throw objects like beer bottles, posing a safety risk to others and escalating tensions. After a significant defeat, fans may react violently by burning items, destroying property, or causing chaos in the surrounding area. And spontaneous aggression can also manifest in physical altercations between rival fans, fueled by heated emotions during the game. In 2011, following a soccer match in Kharkov, Ukraine, fans engaged in disruptive behaviors by using flares and pyrotechnic devices within the sports venue. This act of fan demonstration is a clear example of spontaneous terrorism, as it involved unplanned emotional reactions by fans after the match. The use of flares and pyrotechnics posed a serious safety hazard to both fans and staff, escalating tensions and drawing significant attention from authorities. This type of behavior reflects how fans may resort to dangerous actions such as igniting flares to express dissatisfaction, frustration, or anger, common occurrences in intense sporting events. Although not organized terrorism, such incidents can still result in injury, property damage, and significant disruption to the event and venue, necessitating strict security measures and crowd control protocols to prevent similar occurrences. The FBI defines an active shooter as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined or populated area. While active shooter incidents have not occurred specifically at sports facilities, the potential threat remains. It is essential for sports facility managers to collaborate with national, regional, and local law enforcement agencies to develop and implement an active shooter response plan. Such a plan should include staff training, ensuring all personnel are trained and recognizing signs of potential threats and knowing how to respond during an active shooter situation, and establishing clear evacuation routes, lockdown procedures, and communication systems for quick alerts, and collaborating with local authorities to conduct drills and ensure a coordinated response in the event of an emergency. To prevent active shooter events, sports facilities should implement proactive measures such as conducting comprehensive background checks on employees to identify any potential security risks before hiring, and setting up a system that allows both employees and visitors to confidentially report signs of violent behavior or suspicious activity. You also want to ensure the facility has at least 2 clearly marked evacuation routes with signage posted in prominent areas throughout the venue, and display evacuation routes in easily visible and accessible locations for everyone in the facility. You also want to involve local law enforcement and first responders in regular training exercises to ensure a unified and efficient response during an active shooter situation. Encourage law enforcement, emergency responders, SWAT teams, K-9 units, and bomb squads to participate in active shooter drills at the facility, familiarizing them with the layout and improving their response times. By adopting these measures, sports facilities can ensure better preparedness and safety in the event of an active shooter incident. In an active shooter situation, you want to make sure to establish a chain of authority. The facility manager must quickly assess the situation and determine the safest course of action. Employees and customers are likely to follow the lead of the manager, so taking control and making decisions swiftly is critical. If there is a clear and accessible escape path, evacuate immediately. It is essential to have an evacuation plan in place and to follow it, even if others are hesitant or unwilling to follow. If evacuation is not possible, find a secure location to hide. Choose a spot that is out of the shooter's line of sight and provides cover. Lock doors, block windows, and remain silent. As a last resort, and only if your life is in imminent danger, consider taking action to incapacitate or disrupt the shooter. This may involve throwing objects, using improvised weapons, or physically confronting the shooter with full commitment to protect yourself and others. In the case of a bomb threat, you want to stay calm. The individual receiving the bomb threat should remain calm and composed despite the urgency of the situation. Using a recording device, if available, try to capture the conversation. Try to record every word spoken by the caller and attempt to keep the caller on the line for as long as possible. Do not hang up abruptly. If the caller does not provide the location of the bomb, ask for specific whereabouts. Politely remind the caller that many innocent people could be harmed or killed if the bomb detonates in the facility. And listen carefully for any background noises that may offer clues about the caller's location, environment, or identity. Pay attention to the caller's voice for possible clues such as gender, excitement level, accent, or any speech impediments that could help identify the individual. In a bomb threat, immediately conduct a thorough visual search of the entire facility for any suspicious objects that could resemble a bomb. Contact local law enforcement, the fire department if needed, and relevant facility officials without delay. If an explosive device is found, initiate an evacuation of the area promptly. And ensure the evacuation is orderly by using prepared announcements to guide patrons and instruct ushering or security staff. In evacuation procedures, you want to establish and communicate a clear chain of command to ensure effective decision-making and coordination during the evacuation. Identify and plan alternate exits from all areas of the facility, and ensure event staff members are familiar with these routes and can guide patrons accordingly. Have pre-recorded evacuation announcements ready to ensure clear and efficient communication during an emergency, and plan specific procedures to assist patrons or employees with disabilities during the evacuation, ensuring their safe and timely exit. And work with local authorities to outline procedures for evacuating patrons outside the facility. Discuss transport options if evacuation beyond the facility is necessary. Flow time refers to the period during which crowds move past a point in the egress system. This contributes to the overall evacuation time, so it is critical to consider it when planning evacuation strategies. By implementing and training appropriate emergency action plans, the facility manager and staff will be best able to respond to an incident, thereby saving their lives as well as the lives of patrons. Therefore, it is critical that every facility be properly prepared to deal with these types of high-risk events. And that is all that I have for you today. I look forward to talking with you again. Have a great day.